Oh, hi guys, Em again. Welcome back to the spare room. This is take 2 of this particular video because I misread this drawing. I've got a cylinder that looks pretty jolly good with one vital flaw. It's this drawing here, and it's easy to blame the architect or the engineer, where really I've not read this properly. It's showing me it's 970 thou diameter, and it has got written here 750 thou. Now this measurement here is the same. I've read this one here, which is 680, which is actually the distance across the flat along here. So we're going to have to make another one. I've got plenty of bar, and it's just a piece of 25mm brass. I've made all the fixtures and things already, so that's kind of a head start. Let's just say the proof of concept one looks pretty good, so we're going to go ahead and make another one. First job, hack a piece off the end of a bit of bar 2 inches long. Next job is to machine it to length, and it's 1 inch and 818 thousandths of an inch long, which sounds like an odd dimension, but it seems to work. That's what's on the drawing. I did double check it. So we face one end to length. And we'll put that back against the chuck, and that should be pretty solid and dependable and registerable. So I'd be happy with that. So I stuff one up. And that happens. But the important thing, I guess, is to get back on the horse and start again. It's very easy to say, oh, I'll come back to it some other time, I've got other things to do. And then you never get back to it. So there's still a couple of hours in the night. And I reckon I can get this bit finished anyway. Probably you can set this up between centres and machine it. Might be a good way to do it, rather than take it out every time. And that's as close to 818 as we're probably going to get, so I'm pretty pleased about that. Next job is to bore it. Now I haven't got a 1/2 inch reamer, and this is 1/2 inch. I've got the bore on the last one pretty good with a little bore and bar, and we've got all that set up. So I'm going to drill it out and ream at 12mm, which is what I have got, and from there we'll bore it, and the reamed hole will give it half a chance of being pretty uniform all the way through anyway. So next job is to spot drill it and just drill it, and I might run that reamer through, and then we can have a look at the bore and bar. So a couple of cuts through there, and we're not aiming for exact size. What we're aiming for is parallel. So by that we mean that the diameter is the same on both ends, and we're aiming for surface finish. So we're only hand feeding here because it's the way this lathe rolls. So a couple of light spring cuts will bring that up, and we're going to hone into finish anyway. So if we can get it pretty good, we'll be happy with that. We can hear him when he stops cutting in there. And make a note of what our cross slide reading is. We're just going to back him off a little bit so that it doesn't cut a spiral on the way out and wreck our surface finish. And set him back where he was. If we lift that out, we'll find a little spring gauge. Get a feel for that, and you tighten him up. If he's got a little bit of slop in him, he's not quite right, so have another go. And again, check it with a micrometer because you've got bigger flats than a vernier. $4.75 and 20 thou, so it's only about 4 or 5 thou that's got to come out of there. That's not very much. Of course, with this machine we've got to convert him to metric. So we'll drop that back on nice. .4 of a millimetre. So that's one number on the dial here. Remember, when you're boring, you're coming out rather than going in, so you've got to go the opposite way. Just give him a clean up there with the Noga tool. And check him again. So that hasn't taken very much out there, and we're still about 2 thou under. But the finish is pretty sweet, so I'm going to leave it at it. Say that's good enough. See, we worry about buying a machine that hasn't got power feed, and it hasn't got this, and it hasn't got that. And a nice sharp tool and a nice steady hand, you can do pretty good work. The vacuum cleaner sounds like it's starting to get a little bit full. Now, last time round I made this, which is basically a mandrel for turning this cylinder. So I'm going to use this mandrel the second time round. I'm going to remachine it because you're going to get a bit of wobble. Your chuck might be out, all sorts of things, and it's all accumulative. So when you use the jig again and taking it out of the chuck, just set him up and machine him just a couple of thou at a time till that pushes on there. So I've machined a new step on here. I've left this bit here so there's still enough thread to tighten the bolt down, but that's a fairly good fit on there. So paper washer to stop him marking, as myfordboy says. And that's ready to machine. We've got to take a little bit off the top because there is a piece of brass tubing that slides over here. So I'm just going to do it to the drawings, and we can chuck it back up the same way if we've got to when we're finished, if we can't find a piece of tube to fit. So the drawing says 9.97 or 970 thousandths of an inch this is, so So that's down to 970 thou. Everything looks pretty good, it's all running pretty sweet. I did put the clock on that, a dial indicator on there, just to make sure it was running true before I started turning it. It's always good to double check. As you've already found out this video, when you don't double check something, that's when you kind of stuff up. So I did check it and it's not out far. What I'm going to do is machine into there and get that down to pretty close to 332 on the end, that shoulder, and down to 3/4 nearly. Then we're going to turn it around and we're going to do the same to the other end and measure the length in between. So with a bit of trial and error and probably a bit of work with a file, we'll get a hollow in there that's a recess in there that's 3/4 diameter, an inch and 630 thou long in the middle. That's the idea. So I've turned that round and I've started machining it. This looks like it's got a wobble in it. It hasn't, because the washer's got a wobble on it in the end. But I've clocked that up again and it's within about 2 thou, so that's going to be plenty good enough. Now I'm going to machine this down to this diameter here, right along, and then we're going to finish the ends and tidy them up and make sure it's the right distance apart and the right thickness there and there. And I'm probably going to call it a night. So that's pretty sweet. It's 1 inch and 670 thou between, and they're about 94 thou thick. This is about 5 thou under, but it's nice and parallel, and that's what we're aiming for here, is a nice parallel surface. So I'm pretty happy with that. I'm going to leave him on the mandrel there. Take the mandrel out and we're going to set him up in the milling vise in the morning and mill a flat on him. So that's the next job. So I had to sleep. It's morning again. Actually it's afternoon, but we're getting back onto this. I've set this up in the milling slide here, nice and square. I've just put the dial indicator on the bed. Set it up there. It's a little bit hollow in the middle there, but that won't hurt. But on the ends it's pretty close, it's within about 1 thou. So I've set that up that way. Everything's nice and tight. I'm going to put a milling cutter in the chuck now, and we're going to put a flat on this side. So that's the next operation. So we're getting there. Slow and steady wins the race. I'm only taking 4 or 5 thou at a time, which isn't a very heavy cut. And it's got to come down to 680 thou, which is 70, you've got to have about 70 thou off it, and we're well over halfway now. So I've just marked these on top here. They're pretty straightforward. They're right in the middle, and they're 1/8 from the flange on each side, and it's only a 332 hole. Not much to it. I've set this up square in the vise just with the engineer square there, which is good. And what I'm going to do is check this table for square, because they do move a little bit, especially if you've been drilling out on the edge here. And when we've done that, I'm just going to drill them. There we got the 2 holes. So that's the cylinder done. It's been a bit more involved than I thought since I did it twice, but thanks for watching, guys, and we'll do some more soon. Next part's the valve block that goes on the side, and that's soldered on. Don't forget to subscribe and thumbs up, and check out myfordboy's channel if you're interested in buying these castings. I'm going to put the link down the bottom, so have a look at that. And be kind to each other.